All right, so I'm going to say a very big welcome to our audience. I want to say a very big welcome to your Be Your Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Claire Chancellor, and today we're going to explore all things kinesiology and NLP here with Ash. Hey, Ash.
Hi! Yay!
Ash is a phenomenal kinesiologist, NLP practitioner, and it's just so wonderful to share this time with you, Ash. I know that when we first met, I think we met actually with an intuitive reading, right? And it was just this, our souls just like
celebrated. We're like, oh my God, this person, get me to her.
Pretty much been inseparable ever since, but I'm so excited to talk to you and to help everybody better understand what is kinesiology. But before we jump into that, Ash, I've got something to share with you that I haven't shared with you before. We're going to jump straight into the juicy bits.
Okay, I'm ready.
So talk about manifesting. When I was talking to my business coach, you know, I had been absolutely inundated and booked out with clients, and they said, you're going to have to find somebody else who thinks like you, who understands energy, who has such a passion for helping and serving other people be their best, so you can start to refer clients to. And I was like, who is this unicorn? And then here you come, and like it's just such a beautiful soul connection here that we've got. And anytime I'm referring clients to you, I just know that they're going to get the best care and the best attention. And yeah, so you're a manifesting dream come true.
That's so sweet. Thank you so much. And you know what's funny? Talk about energy, how it works. My niece, or my sister-in-law, sent me a video of my niece pretending she was on a unicorn today. So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love the synchronicity and the signs with that. But so let's jump into your world. Can you give our listeners a quick understanding of what is kinesiology?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. So it's a difficult one to explain because there's so many layers to it, but at its most simple form, it is clearing stress from your subconscious mind. So stress can come in the forms of, you know, a limiting belief that you have, a stressful situation with someone, if you've taken on someone else's energy. Everyone deals with the stress differently. So through muscle reflex testing, so we'll be on the table, online, whatever it is, and the arm will go down when it signifies that there's disharmony between the conscious and the subconscious. So if you think about, you know, if you say something like, I love kinesiology, it won't go down because there's harmony within both layers of myself to say, yeah, that's true. Whereas if I were to say, I'm an excellent power lifter, like my arm will go down because I'm not up at that skill set yet. So on its most basic level, it is clearing stress from your subconscious, and the subconscious, which I know that, you know, your listeners are probably all aware of. It's developed when we're little, and, you know, we add all of those stories, beliefs, patterns, behaviors in there, and we learn that all in NLP too. So
I was going to say, like, you've got a whole career in front of you of trying to explain what is NLP, what is kinesiology, and it's one of the most interesting questions to answer, right? Like, it's sort of like, where do I begin? But fundamentally, kinesiology has a very strong energy component to being able to transform people's limitations so that they come away feeling healthier, stronger, more capable at what they want to do. Is that about right?
100%. Yeah. So it's just, I like to think of it as like the pathway, and we're just kind of picking up the shrubs and the weeds and the rocks, and we're making the pathway a lot easier and clearer. So yeah, that's.
So once the pathway's clearer, then what?
If the pathway's limitless. Well, it depends. And this is what, you know, I was talking to someone the other day about. It's depending on your willingness too. So we actually test that in kinesiology as well. Yeah, because you could come to a session and be like, yeah, I want to release this limiting block, this limiting belief. But I'll test, you know, is there willingness to actually let that go? And if the arm goes down, it's like, well, you're not getting rid of this. So I need to work on your willingness first before we go into that belief.
How would you help somebody then drop their walls and barriers to be able to be willing? Because that's a really strong force. Like, you're like, they're saying yes and their whole body's like,
Yeah, it's
Put you on the spot.
it's it can definitely be challenging because it's almost like that's not what they're there for. They're not coming there for that. Some clients, not all, will have that mentality of like, no, I'm just coming here for you to fix me. And
oh yeah,
you know, just clear it and then I'll be good for 2 days and then I'll be back next month. And I'm not about that. I'm more about, let's get to the bottom of why you don't want to clear it. Let's work on this willingness. And the whole session could be around clearing that block, and we'll get to the end of the session and then it's like, oh, I feel like I can tackle it on my own. So yeah, it's really cool actually when you go into that. But yeah, that initial kind of conversation when it tests, you're like, oh God.
Which goes to show how passionate you are that you're even going to go and check that, because some people would be like, yeah, let me just do my thing, and then you know, whether it's, you know, leave you sort of wondering, well, did that work, did that not work? But when you're working with someone like Ash, who's like all in, the willingness, everything's aligned to bring the healing back to their responsibility, being that is the most empowering place, at their choice, their intention, and what are they creating for themselves. So if I was coming to you like with reoccurring headaches or reoccurring sore throats, just in a bit of a nutshell, where would we begin with kinesiology with that?
Well, I would first ask you, you know, because kinesiology, you have the chat beforehand, like with any kind of session you have. And I like to, again, using my NLP techniques, you know, see where their body language is at, what their body's telling me before they even speak. And if they're saying, oh, you know, I've had constant headaches and they're like hunched in the seat like this or tense everywhere, I'm like, well, what's frustrating you? Like, what do you feel like you're doing that you don't want to be doing? And the throat is like, and you're not speaking up about it. So let's dive into that before we go into the balance, because maybe some of the talking can kind of give you that clarity before we get on the table to then clear what the actual issue is rather than the headaches in the throat.
I hear you on that one. I know from my own personal experience, before I met you, I don't know, 20 years ago, when I first experienced kinesiology, it sort of get on the table, do some muscle testing, hold on to a symbol, a crystal, okay, goodbye. And I was like, wait, I need a conversation. I want to better understand why I attracted this, what's going on, how can I, again, take responsibility for my healing, you know. And so when you put your hand up to learn NLP, it was like, yes, this is the golden toolkit that's backing you up, Ash. It's like that, the NLP, the conversation, to listen out to what's being said, what's not being said. And for the listeners who's like, what's NLP? It's a transformational modality to better understand how you're communicating to yourself to get the results on the outside world. But for you, Ash, like, that was so exciting to be in that energy space, to teach a fellow energy healer about the beauty in that conversation. So like, I'm hearing you say things like, yeah, let's talk about what's frustrating you. Has there been any sort of conversations that you've had with clients that have like, wow, okay, I as a kinesiologist didn't see that coming, like when you started to explore their model of the world?
Absolutely. And I think that's it's interesting. Like, it's not so much in the talk aspect of it, because that's when the guard's up, and that's when, you know, if we bring it to the NLP, it's the, what are they deleting, distorting, generalizing, all of that in their language. And then it's only until they get up on the table that their body is actually speaking. And that's where, that's where everything is held subconsciously. And I always kind of prep them to be like, you know, your subconscious will be cheeky and it will bring things up that you may not want to talk about. And I encourage you, yes, we can go there, but if it's too hard, if it's too much, like, you can tell me no. But if we start with the headache, then we go to the throat, the subconscious will bring up an age, say like age 5, where they weren't feeling seen or heard and they were getting really frustrated from being on the outer. And they may say to me, oh God, I have not thought about that for years. It's like, of course not, because you're not conscious of it. So it will show up in other ways with the headache in the throat and the external frustrations.
Oh yeah, and I love how you articulate. I love how you articulate like, yep, that's good. How it's going to show up. The body is talking to you, and whether or not you know the language, you're definitely feeling the consequence of what you're pushing down and resisting.
Totally. The body like doesn't shut up. You've got to listen.
I imagine that's probably what introduced you to kinesiology, is that like your body was talking and it's like, give me the secret code to what's going on.
Yeah, it was a journey, to be honest. Like I remember I actually went to get spinal energetics done. So Crystal on your show who does that. But I was getting really tight adductors and I was like, this isn't normal. Like I feel like there's trauma stored in there. What's going on? And it wasn't until then I went on that like healing journey. I avoided it for a long time. So if I went to a kinesiologist at that point, I probably wouldn't be willing to let it go. Down. Chop it off. But yeah, no, my introduction to it was actually, I was journaling and I actually wrote it in my journal, not knowing what it was. And I started to YouTube and Google, and all it was coming up with was the applied kinesiology, which is more the old school, like chiropractic, you know, the, I don't know, kidney meridian relates to your psoas muscle. So chuck your leg in the air and let's muscle test on that. And I was like, oh, nah, I don't want to do that. So I parked it. And you know, talking about energy and how it all works. I actually had a girlfriend say, oh, I went to a kinesiologist, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what is that? Like, you have to put your leg in the air, like with your arm out here. And she's like, no, go see this woman. That's the only way that I can explain it. And I actually had an online session to begin with. And it just blew me away. And I was like, I have to learn this. I have to know what this is.
But that soul got thirsty, hungry.
Yeah.
It was just like, give me more.
Totally. And I remember the first day, and I think I've spoken about this, but the first day that I did it, it was just like that remembering. It was just like this wave of like, oh, I've done this before.
Yeah. Part of your purpose is like, finally, I'm within alignment. This is what I'm meant to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it so much. It's just so good.
Your Instagram content is phenomenal. Like you've got such a following, and the education, the training that you're bringing just to those pockets of time. From my clients, I'm hearing them like, wow, like this is awe-inspiring. And if you haven't gotten onto Ash's Instagram, jump on now, but or listen to this first and then jump on. But my question to you, Ash, is like the crystals, the cards, the oil, the colored glasses. You're not afraid of making a fool of yourself for your clients. Like, let's bring on the play. What's going on with these amazing tools?
So each of them, like the kinesiology that I learned was emotions and metaphysical. So each single remedy has a different purpose and meaning behind it. So if you were to get the glasses, so colored glasses, that's about you needing to change your perspective on something. And every single time a remedy will test, I always ask the question, what does that mean to you? What does that color mean to you when you put them on your eyes, or if we put them on the screen, if it's online? And you will always, 9 times out of 10, you'll get a different response. So for purple, some people be like, oh, you know, spirituality or wisdom or, I don't know, growth. But it actually, then we pick apart that to be like, okay, well, where are you gaining that in your life? Are you missing it in your life? Like, where are you at with that? And it takes us on a different rabbit hole. So every single remedy has its meaning. You know, if I go into them, like any sound is different. So a singing bowl is bringing harmony to the body. Tuning fork is where do you need to tune into your own energy, and you can have the different chakras or energy centers within those tuning forks. And crystals are more about your connection to the earth and what do you need to hold to ground your energy. Acupressure points is, I like to think of that as like more somatic release and actually getting those channels to all run together. But
hold on, whoa. Okay, so we've got like the glasses, and are you muscle testing those to say what color someone needs, or does the body kind of, within the muscle testing, does the body tell you that it needs the purple? What's going on there?
Yeah, so when we're on the table, we'll go through the stress. We'll, you know, basically we're creating an energy circuit between myself and the client. And I'm actually not, when I'm muscle testing, I'm not speaking verbally. Like I'm energetically kind of pointing at different things to be like, okay, is it this, is it this? Okay, it's that. So my intention will change with the muscle testing to show me an indicator of what the body needs. And then, yeah, it's hard to explain, but
no, you get it.
You get it. So I'll literally, like, I'm looking at fruit here. So if I say, okay, what does Claire need today? Yeah, you don't need any fruit, but do you eat fruit? But basically I'll be in my mind thinking, okay, avocado, apple, mandarin, banana. Okay, it's a banana that she needs. So then with the glasses, I'll be thinking, okay, well, and I'm just scanning the room, going like this, the muscle will go, I'll grab it, and the body will be communicating through my energy.
Yeah, the energy that's moving between the two of you.
Correct. Yeah.
Because like energy is absolutely everywhere. It's running through electricity, it's running in the air, it's running through the Wi-Fi. Like people go, oh, well, how do we know it's true? And it's like, well, if your Wi-Fi is working and you believe in that, why would this be any different?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And so it's like that. It is that electromagnetic connection between everybody that when we come together, like I'm a different person for you, Ash, and I'm a different person for my children. It's that energy exchange. It's the relationship that we have. And so the body, when it sees something like a tuning fork or the crystals or the bananas, it's indicating to you like I need more of that kind of support. Like I need more of the grounding support or the potassium in the bananas support. Like, is that how it's working for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's again coming back to the, question of what does that mean to you? And then we can also ask the body, is that homework? Do they need to take this away with them? How long do they wear on the body? Do they need to wear it? Which again will tell, like if it's a crystal and it says, okay, put it in your left hip. Okay. That's
really? It goes that detailed?
Yeah. Well, we can do whatever. But if it says left hip, I'll be like, okay, well, are you feeling emotionally supported right now? Like maybe that's where you need to ground your energy, and whatever the crystal means, maybe that's where we focus on getting that emotional support from. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Because in my world, like the hips sort of hold, if they need to keep us in balance, and if you're sort of walking with anger or something, like your energy is going to be out of balance, and it's like, maybe let's bring in some rose quartz to soften that. And
yeah. You're all over it, Claire. You should be a kinesiologist.
Should a muscle the thing with like with kinesiology, I always get a little bit confused with how the oils work and why you're smelling the oil and what the heck's going on with that. Like, tell me about the oils, Ash.
So the essential oils, they like with the 5 senses, you've got smell that reaches a certain part of the brain in your hippocampus to access those memories. So if we're speaking in the subconscious terms, we kind of need, the body will tell you what it needs, but almost every single session an essential oil will come up and will relate to the emotions that are being felt now. So it's not so much that like the essential oil is going to heal everything. It's just more about, okay, well, let's evoke that memory. Let's bring it to the surface. And then maybe it's applying it on a point, or they need to have it, to breathe in to kind of flush those negative, not that emotions are negative, but the ones that are holding them back out of the system by the support of that smell.
Well, my husband has a very, 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 very weak sense of smell. Like I live in Mount Dandenong and the perfume, like, David, and he's like, I can't even taste my coffee. So would oils work for somebody like that?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I've never had anyone that's like, I'd love to give it a go.
Through that COVID season, everyone was saying like, oh, I hope my sense of smell comes back. And David's like, me too. Like,
well, I guess because it is concentrated, maybe because it's because he's AD, isn't he? Like
very like, analytical.
Maybe because it is concentrated and it's actually like this, maybe he needs to just understand the science behind it to then be like, oh, okay, that's what's coming up.
Yeah, you could probably do some kinesiology on him, on his rejection of breathing in this world, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna fix the world.
I'm coming for you, David.
Oh gosh, he'd love that. So so tell me, like, Ash, yes, I'm a Reiki master. Yes, I've got my perception of how energy works. But when you're tuning into somebody, like, it almost looks a little bit like worrisome that you can, pick up on what I'm thinking or how I'm feeling. Like in kinesiology world, what is going on for you and your body, and how do you know what I'm thinking?
So I don't. Your body is telling me where to go, what to pick up on. So I have I have emotion charts everywhere. And for me, when I tune into that, I energetically will ask permission. I'll never just go into someone's energy field and be like, oh, what do they need? Because that's not working with integrity. But when they're in that room, it's kind of a given that they've given you that permission. But for me, I will feel that kind of wave over my back to be like, okay, we're good. But yeah, in regards to reading your mind, it's more about where your body is guiding me. So, and it's fascinating. Like, I'll have people come in and they'll test for, say, I don't know, orange essential oil, and they'll be like, oh my God, I just bought a bag of oranges. So it's kind of the body's way of saying you already know what you need. It's just about trusting that. So it's I love that I'm part of that in the way that it's like I'm just the messenger to be like, hey, don't you remember when this came up the other day? Like, it's coming up again. You need to listen.
The grounded soul angel here, the messenger of the but giving that person that validation that like they can take responsibility for their healing, and it's sort of, yeah, you trust that body, trust that intuition, have those oranges, bring yourself back to harmony. So are you taking on their energy, or like are you just or like what happens? How do you shift everybody's energy out of you?
So in the initial stages, I wasn't aware of what I needed to do to kind of protect myself. So I would get to the end of a week and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so depleted, I'm drained, what's going on? But now I kind of, I set different intentions. So sometimes I'll be like, nothing's coming up past here, because obviously I need to work with my hands and be in their field. Other times I'll just put my clothes on for the day and I'll be like, I'm setting the intention that that's my shield, nothing's coming through. I'll sometimes wear a crystal, or I'll give myself a balance before the day. But now I'm a bit more energetically hygienic, I guess, to protect myself from that. But I always kind of think that, if I'm respecting their energy, then their energy is respecting mine too.
Oh, yeah, that beautiful intention, that respect. So like there are so many empaths. I know a lot of my clients, NLP students, are empaths. They're sensitive to energy. They're taking on board all of the anxiety. There's recently been floods here in Melbourne, and it's like, why am I so sad? And like, well, you're an empath and you haven't learnt energy boundaries or to know what is mine and what have I taken on board. But I imagine kinesiology would be the ideal thing to bring them back to balance, or are they actually going to walk into a kinesiology office and then start taking on too much energy? Like, what's your interpretation, Ash?
I guess it depends on the person and where they're at. I and again, like for me, it's coming back to that intention. So setting that intention for the room of like, we're going to bring them back into that equilibrium, have them feeling really good. And I always, not always, sometimes if they're struggling and they're in that belief state of like, oh, this will just be good for a week, I will always leave the session to be like, you can maintain this energy. It's yours. Keep it, take it.
Yay. And so do you find yourself attracting in a lot of empaths, or who are your clients, Ash?
Empaths. Probably I'm getting a lot of communication things lately. So people who want to speak up but are afraid, anxiety is something that I've worked with a lot as well. But yeah, more empaths. I'm attracting a lot of more, like, I guess, people who are wanting to dive into that spirituality and, connect more to that universal connection. So a range.
Yeah, but so it sounds like, just to help the audience better understand, and I'm hearing my guides, my team saying, explain what an empath is. I'll get there. But it goes to show that you're not working so much with performance people who need to build their body mass. You're actually talking to people who have been on a difficult journey in some regards, and their soul is craving to come back to harmony and bliss. And it's just like, their journey has been so tough on them that they are anxious about putting themselves out there. They are people pleasing instead of speaking their truth. They are And so it must be incredible and inspiring for you, Ash, to see them come away feeling lighter and being able to speak their truth. Like, it must be absolutely inspiring for you.
Oh, 100%. And like, you know, it's just so rewarding to be a part of that and be a part of their team. When they come in and they, you know, tell me their wins or say that, you know, they have been able to maintain that energy, I'm like, yes, let's go deeper.
How could this get any better? Yay!
Yes, absolutely. Celebrate. Let's do it.
Yeah. And how amazing for them to have somebody like you on their side. It's not that you're in front, it's not that you're behind, but in those sessions, let's walk along each other. Because I heard you say, like, when we're on the table, it's like, Ash is not on the table with you guys. But
I mean, I wish I could be.
Yeah, we could do that. We could do a retreat. Let's all lay down together, bring on the healing energy.
But that's the thing, like, when you're sharing that energy, you're as much a part of it as they are, and they'll bring up things you know, that you're then guided, but you'll also be in that too, where you're like, oh, this is coming through, like, how does that resonate for you? So yeah, you work as a team, I think.
Yeah, because that's what you want, that trust and that rapport with somebody if you're going to dive into your vulnerabilities. My guides are nagging me here to say, like, what's an empath? So for those who are listening and asking that question, typically an empath is somebody who has a soul contract to come to this world to bring a lot of love, a lot of compassion, a lot of kindness. However, they tend to have experienced a bit of a turbulent childhood where they are trained to energetically scan the room and then adjust themselves to keep the peace. So how is mum, you know, little one, how is mum doing, or how's dad doing? Are they super stressed? Okay, I'll be a good girl. And so you're forever people pleasing, and until such a point you have that spiritual awakening and you're like, this isn't working for me anymore. And it's like, that's right, you're not a little girl anymore, and you don't have to take on board everybody's energy and to scan the room to adjust yourself. It's like the empath needs to be inspired to speak up and to bring that mutual compassion and joy. Would you add anything to that there, Ash?
Yeah, I think it's also kind of the superpower for when it needs to be learned. Because I think, you know, you're talking about scanning the room, understanding, that's how I feel that I understand energy. Like, you see it, you feel it before you see it and hear it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Just adding that in, just to be like, you know, yes, you can have that part of you that is like that, but now it's about time that you use the benefits of it.
Yeah, and to turn that around. So imagine that's where, like, both NLP and kinesiology work hand in hand to go and resolve why you put yourself second or why you're not speaking up. And it's like finding that voice.
Totally.
Really life-changing.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the shifts that you've seen with your clients, Ash?
I literally, as you were talking about that, one came to mind. So I have a beautiful client who, I won't go into the details, but basically there was a separation, and it's hard not to go into the detail, but basically there was hope that, you know, it will come back, and she wasn't speaking up, she wasn't speaking her truth. And I just, you know, we were balancing to clear that stress. And I said, you know, just try it in little ways to speak up, building your confidence. And every single time that she's come in, she's been so emotional and overcome with emotion, because she's been like, you know, I did it and it worked. And it would just be, you know, her taking 2 days to reply to someone and then being like, no, actually, I don't agree with that. And it's just, for other people, that seems so easy, but for some, that can be a real win. So I get kind of emotional talking about that one, because she's such a warm and beautiful person, that for her, she was just like, jumping for joy. And I'm like, I'm there with you. I'm jumping for joy. Like, it's just so good. Like, how can we go further with this and have that confidence come through? And she's just like leaps and bounds. It's been really beautiful, actually.
Sounds like I get the sense that while I don't know this person, it sounds like she's probably one of your biggest fans and probably will learn kinesiology from you, Ash. Is that on the path for you to learn teach kinesiology?
I hope she comes to learn. She'd be a brilliant practitioner. But yeah, absolutely. I will be teaching.
Not yet, but soon, right?
Not yet, but soon. Correct.
Because recently you facilitated an amazing workshop with, what did you call it? Anxiety
support workshop.
It's simple, but the name just doesn't stick because I just see so much bigger than that.
Well, yeah. Well, there we go. There they are. Hello. Yeah, the anxiety.
So your aura just flashed then as like, yeah, you really like have such a gift to be able to share the insights that you have, to be able to break it down for people to better understand themselves and to free themselves from limitations. Yeah. How did you find facilitating that workshop?
I was so excited. I mean, it took a lot for me. I think I shared on my Instagram, it took a lot for me to actually do that, to build the courage to have that be out in the world. It took me about 12 months to put it all together. But as soon as I committed, it was just like bang, 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 bang. The information just like flooded out of me. I'm like, oh, that was not that hard. But for me, because I have, experienced anxiety before, I had all my notes in front of me, and because I know that I can go off on a tangent, or if I get flustered, then I get, in my head. But I was referring to them, but not as much as I thought that I would do. But yeah, the feedback that I've received from that has been really, really wonderful. And I was just like, oh, well, people need to hear this information. And, I'd love to keep putting stuff out there. But yeah, like you said, bigger.
It's coming, but we need to build that foundation. It's here. Everybody's ready and waiting to help you build that. It's so when you think about anxiety, Ash, my belief is that you can resolve it. You don't have to live with anxiety. I imagine you share the same sort of insight.
100%. And one of the light bulb moment for me was when we were in that NLP course with you, Claire, and it was that question of how do you do anxiety? And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So for me, that's just been a game changer. I'm like, well, this is how I do it. So it's almost like that, okay, well, my body's going into this. I know exactly what to do in those moments, and I know how to resolve that, rather than going into that, whoo, okay, I'm feeling anxious. Can't get
that out of control, yuck feeling.
Yeah. So that question was so powerful. And that's NLP, right? Like, it's just that one little snippet and you're like, damn.
Yeah. And like, it sounds grammatically incorrect, but when when a client's so much associated in their story of I'm anxious, and you're like, wait a minute, how do you do anxiety? And they're like, they have to actually disassociate and think about, all right, how is my body responding? Did I have to see something, say something to myself? Is my heart racing? Am I running off to the toilet? Like, how am I doing anxiety? Yeah. And then that self-inquiry gives somebody choice, right? Like, is that what you've noticed?
Totally. Because, and that's where it marries up like with the kinesiology and NLP, I guess, because that choice in that moment is like, well, do you want to release this and clear that belief, like, yeah, it's life-changing.
I have to share this with you because, like, in the recent NLP group that I'm facilitating, we're working with a beautiful Chinese herbalist, and traditionally when she hears a client come in and saying like, yep, I've got anxiety, and it's like, okay, take these herbs, and they're awesome and they're amazing. However, I did point out to her, if you actually ask somebody, how do you do anxiety? Her practice became so much more widespread and clearer, in the sense of asking a client, how do you do anxiety? Her assumptions was like, I'm all erratic and I'm anxious, and so therefore here are your herbs, versus no, I'm anxious and I've taken myself back to bed and I can't do that. And it's like, okay, let's actually bring more supportive energy to being able to step up and face the world. So that one question has just ripples out there, like,
totally. Yeah, I loved that. That was just like, that's one of the many things that stuck for me.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's an absolute honor to have you in that room, because I learned so much too from your perspective with kinesiology. Imagine going back to that anxious question though, when you're asking somebody, how do you do anxiety? Does it surprise you your client's response when they hear that question?
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, how do you do it? And they honestly, it's that, that point of confusion. They'll do anything to get out of that state. They honestly, most of them don't understand the question. And I have to, be like, well, for me, this is how I do it. If I see this, then I go into this. And that's what spurs on that anxiety. Yeah. So I find that when I resonate with them, that's when they're like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see. And then they're like, oh, well, if I just were to get rid of that, then.
Yeah. What's a new possibility?
Yeah, totally. Bernie's looking at me and barking like, let me in.
See, raising your anxiety there. Ash, how are you doing anxiety with the dogs?
No, I'm good. He'll go away. Put a light around him, he'll go away.
He has a voice. He wants to let everyone know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap this up shortly, Ash, but I want to find out, do you do kinesiology on yourself?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you doing kinesiology on your dogs, on your family? Like, is it all inclusive?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll do kinesiology on myself just as like a tune up and a checkup. But if I feel that, I'm going through something that needs that extra assistance, then I'll book myself in, for a session. For my pets, when we first got Hiru, she was very unsettled, very anxious. And, I tested through, she needed a different blanket. She wanted a crystal and all this kind of stuff. And it was awesome. And then she stopped, like she was waking up at 3:30, 4:30, 5:30. And as soon as we changed the blanket, she was waking up at 5:30. It's like, great.
No way.
Yeah, it was amazing. So the things, and I'd love to do one on your dogs actually, because at the end of the session, you muscle test to see, what their life lesson is for you. So each of them are put here on earth because to either teach you something or show you something, which is really fascinating. And for family, like if they ask, that's when I'll do it.
Yeah, that permission.
Yeah, like that's a no-brainer. I'll be like, yeah, sure. Like I'll give you a tune up. I'll see what you need and go on your merry way.
Yeah, but that's mind-blowing. Like you say, like it's a sentence of like, yeah, that's just part of my day. And like, oh my gosh, like all of the animal lovers out there who bending over backwards to help their little one, or that they're suffering, and it's like Ash speaks their language. Like
and it's so cool. I actually Brit, how she has her new dog Ziggy, we did an online one, so it can be online too. But yeah, she had all her crystals laid out, all her essential oils, all of that. And you can actually do acupressure points on dogs as well. So yeah, we did a balance on that. And then she had messaged me saying that, that night he took himself to bed. He didn't have any poo explosions. He wasn't crying or anything. So yeah, energy is energy. Like it will just change. But now, she messaged me today saying, oh, he's didn't sleep last night. I'm like, well, what's going on with you? Because animals picking up on energy. So let's maybe balance your energy as well.
Yeah, which I can relate. When my Morris, that's one of my paintings there. That's my painting of Daisy, but Daisy's little co-mate, Morris, like he was having awful back pain and stumbling, and I was like, Ash, and it's like, what's going on for you, Claire, with your back and your support? Or like, oh damn, I've been caught out.
I have to take responsibility for this.
Where am I like overdoing it and being misindependent rather than letting that support come in? So I felt really guilty, and seeing Morris suffer, and it was like, okay, let's like have that session, let's clear it out of me. And then that $500 bill with the vet later, they're like, there's nothing wrong, like this x-ray, there's nothing wrong with him. And you're like, yeah, because kinesiology, like I'm not promising this to everybody, but I knew that once I could correct it in myself, then he could stop mirroring that, he could stop being that messenger. Poor little guy. He's still on medicine and stuff, like he still has those physical issues, but maybe that's still a mirror, but we're getting there. The awareness is there. That's the key. Yeah. So that must be a lot of fun then, being an animal whisperer, Ash.
It's so cool. I love it. It's yeah, and even just like that message at the end, that's my favorite part. Like just to
give you messages.
Yeah, like because you can write them down and then just muscle test to see like which one is is for them. And I've had, when I did it in person, there was one where it was, about, I think it was like trusting or something. And the owner just burst out in tears. And she's like, that's, the reason why I got him and all of that. So it's such like I don't know, just a beautiful thing to be able to do.
Yeah. I don't mean to push your buttons, but I am curious. Like, if you had a little fur baby that was towards the end of their life, like, have you been called in to get those last little messages or anything, or you burst into tears? You're not the strong one for that one yet?
Oh, I actually, so funny that you mentioned that. So I had a dog, Staffy, and she had, gut issues and all these things like that. And we ended up doing 2 sessions on her. And then I actually got a message saying that they had to put her down. So that just broke my heart, because it was, you just get in your own head of like, could I have done something more? Like, what did she need? So yeah, I feel that if it was towards the end of their life, I don't know if I'd be able to cope.
Yeah.
As much as I would absolutely love to, but I just feel that I'm a little too sensitive for that.
Yeah. And that's where we stick in our lane as practitioners. You love to, like, your strength, you love to work with those sensitive souls, level of anxiety, need that help with their communication. And while I used to be in that lane, I've pivoted a bit more to helping people enhance their business to be seen and heard and feel confident. And that's where it's like, here, Ash, have these amazing clients who need help with resolving their anxiety, because then they'll be back. We'll go set up their business.
Yeah, the exchange.
That's why it's like more abundance the better, sharing in these amazing gifts. Like, it all helps one another, and it's phenomenal. Is there any up and coming workshops or anything that we need to know about your world, Ash?
I am choosing to allocate a day of work for creativity. So I'm hoping to put together some more workshops. I even have this idea of like a 7-week thing, which I won't kind of dive into because
It's all good.
The facts of it haven't come together yet, but the idea is absolutely there. But yeah, more workshops, and I'm just paying attention to, what's the common theme for the collective, and just, putting those together and seeing what people actually need, rather than this is what I think. It's just like, what do they need? What's going on?
Yeah, that place of that heart-centered service and responding to that, and that's where your manifesting is brilliant, because it's like, well, what do people need? And then you'll get this influx of people that will tell you exactly what.
Yeah, you're listening.
And make those creative days really inspiring, because it's that serving somebody else to help them. It would be really inspiring. I keep saying that word with you, but like, we need those workshops, Ash.
Yeah, I'm onto it. happening.
So to wrap this up, I encourage everybody, you're going to be in a day with clients, Ash. I encourage everybody to go check out Ash, check out her Instagram, her website. If you're curious, come check out my NLP training, where we work as a team here with everybody, and promoting everybody and sharing that abundance. So thank you, Ash.
Thank you. I just want to add quickly about the NLP, because I feel like you haven't spoken about it enough. So for me personally, I do encourage everyone to go and learn from Claire. For me, as in my job, in my role, it feels weird calling it a job, but in my kinesiology practice, having that in your toolkit is just like, it's like a superpower. So I find it so powerful when you kind of marry up the two. It doesn't matter what you do, if you're a coach, if you're
Chinese
herbalist, all of it. I recommend it so highly. And because Claire, you add in that spiritual element to it too, it's just like above and beyond. So I want to let people hear that too.
No, that means the world to me, because that's part of my dream. It took me 10 years of dedication to become that NLP trainer, and now in this role to see people feel seen, heard, and valued for what they do. Like, come on, healers! Like, you've been put down and squashed it up. Like, come on, the world right now needs needs you, like just like Ash, we need you to speak up and bring all of that high vibe energy out there and manifest in those clients and be seen. I know I keep saying that, but it's a dream come true, and it's just, oh yeah, absolutely love it. So thank you.
I remember on the final day of the NLP course, it was just so emotional, like seeing you accomplish that and achieving that. So yeah, your heart's in it, that your soul's in it, and that's the person that you want to work with, to learn from. So.
Yeah, no, I was teaching NLP last night, and I think we currently teaching it on Zoom, and we come together every single week, and the support and the encouragement. And then I was calling people this morning, like hearing how they're going, and yeah, I'm probably going to be a bag of tears on that last day again. Because we just get so close, right? When you just like you got the support backing you up.
Yeah, you're working together. It's, you know, you're letting those layers go, and it's a healing thing for you too, like during the whole course. Like it's incredible. Highly recommend.
Thank you. And then we'll see you out there teaching the kinesiology. No doubt this is one of many podcasts for us, so we'll get to talk more about the communication workshops that you're running and the kinesiology and all of that good stuff.
Watch this space.
Yeah, watch this space, because I tell you what, when I sat in on your workshop for anxiety, you had a different perspective on some of the NLP concepts that really blew me away. And I was like, cool, I hadn't thought of it like that. And I think that's the abundance in life, is like, oh, a new thought, a new perspective, growing, learning. Yeah. So yeah, it was exciting to be part of that.
Oh, thanks, Claire. Thank you.
It's been wonderful sharing this time with you, Ash, and to all our listeners. Go check out Ash. Go check out the NLP training. We'd love to have you there. And yeah, I will talk to you later.
Thank you, Claire.